Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the channel for this installment of Open Mic, the show where the mic is open, the floor, as they say, is yours. What are the things and topics you guys want to talk about? That is what we are here to discuss. My name, of course, is John Campea. Good to have you guys here in this later evening. Hello to everybody who's already in the live chat. Good to have you guys here and joining me. I hope you're all doing well. I'm here alone by myself, so do me a favor, fire in a comment. Let me know that you're able to see and hear me okay and that everything is going well. Good to have you guys here. It was a really good show this morning. I don't know if you guys caught the John Campea show this morning. It was really fun. It was the first time in ages that we were able to have Rob and Chris on the show at the same time together. That was fun. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And, you know, Ann is out of town. My wife, Ann, she actually just texted me. She literally just landed in Pittsburgh, which is where the head offices are for her company. And she's gone out there for a couple of days for a business trip. So I thought, you know what? This will be a good opportunity to do open mic. So it's good to be here. Now, just so you guys know, if you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like me to discuss, you just use the super chat feature if you're watching live, and you have to be watching live. But here on Open Mic, we don't use the tip link. We actually use the super chat feature that you can find in the chat area there. If you're watching live, just go on ahead and send that on in. And as long as I deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we'll address it here on the show a little bit later. All right. Now, before we get started on your questions, I wanted to address this. So, you know, the Superman came up this morning because, of course, over the weekend, they dropped a new little teaser that was basically all the footage we've seen already with two minor little changes. One, we saw some footage of Lex walking out of a plane in what looks like the Antarctic or something, probably going to go break into the Fortress of Solitude or something. And the second, of course, was the Superman flight stuff. And I had some thoughts. I thought, there are two shots in the Superman flight from behind when he's doing the barrel roll and everything. And I thought that looked awesome. And then the camera shot from the front, which we only saw for like 0.3 of a second, but they did that sort of YouTube camera attached to you thing where your face stays centered no matter what, and the background all moves around, and it's the super wide angle lens, so it makes everything look a little bit weird. I didn't know how I felt about that as a creative choice. I didn't really like that as a creative choice, but whatever. It's like 0.3 seconds in the movie. Overall, I thought it looked really good. But what has come up again today is that it became very, very clear, not that we didn't all already know this, is that there is already a small but very mouthy and vocal group of fans that actively want the Superman movie to be bad. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't confuse that group of people with another group of people that's totally legitimate. That just looks, you know, they've looked at the Superman trailer and you know, they have some concerns about it. They don't think it looks very good. There's nothing wrong with that, right? We all look at trailers. We all look at upcoming movies and we think, hey, that looks great, or that might be okay, or hey, that doesn't look very good to me. I mean, don't get those two groups confused, right? There's a very legitimate, perfectly fair group of people out there who have seen the Superman trailer and whatnot, and it's not exciting them. Doesn't look all that good to them. Perfectly fair. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about, again, that very small, probably very odorous group of fans that actively want this movie to be bad. They want it to be bad, and they actively want it to fail. And it is this attitude that I have never been able to understand. It's very much a sign of a very weak personality, a very weak mind, a very low level of intelligence. But I've never been able to understand like people adopting that mentality of actively wanting an upcoming movie to be bad and to fail. Like, I certainly have a lot of movies and TV shows that come out as just a normal movie fan that I don't think look very good and I don't get very excited about. A great example of this, I often go to this one because it's a good example, the example of the Harley Quinn series, right? Like I thought, or Peacemaker. You know, I talked about this morning. Peacemaker was a show that I admit I talked a lot of crap about. I said, I think this is a dumb idea. Then they put out the first teaser for it. And I said, this looks like it was shot on an iPhone. This does not look good at all. What a terrible, terrible, terrible decision for them to make a series out of Peacemaker. Nobody will care, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't want it to be bad. See, I thought it would be bad. I didn't want it to be bad. I thought it would be bad. And then it came out and I saw it. I'm like, well, damn, I was wrong. That's awesome. And I fell in love with the show. Same thing with Harley Quinn, right? So there's a difference between thinking something's going to be bad and maybe predicting something's going to be bad. That's fair. Versus wanting something to be bad. And I remember thinking to myself, how damaged of an individual person, how pathetic of a person does one need to be to want something to be bad? So I thought we would take a minute here. And because we've seen, you know, a lot of people putting stuff out and whatever. And again, I want to remind everybody, while it is a very mouthy group of people, it's a small group of people. Like 98% of the people online are very excited for this movie, or at least want the movie to be good. Maybe they have some doubts that it'll be good, but at least they want it to be good, right? I've got a few doubts myself. So who is it that wants a movie to be bad? Who is it that wants a movie to be bad? Well, I'm going to throw out a couple of suggestions here. And some of these suggestions might make you feel a little uncomfortable, but it should be said. First of all, one particular type of person that may want this movie to be bad are some hardcore Marvel fans. And when I say hardcore, that's not even the right term. I'd say slave-like Marvel fans. Like mental slave-like Marvel fans. And I'm a Marvel fan. I like not everything Marvel, but I like a lot of Marvel. But there is still a little bit of that tribalism out there. There's like, there's still some stupid people out there. It's like, I'm a Marvel fan. Okay, that's great. I'm a Marvel fan too. No, you don't get it. I'm a Marvel fan and only Marvel is good. Well, that's a stupid way to live your life. So it's like, wait a minute. So you know the people, you know what I'm talking about. Like to be a Marvel fan doesn't mean to be somebody who appreciates a lot of Marvel stuff. There are some people out there who believe that to be a Marvel fan means you have to hate anything that's not Marvel, right? And there's those on the other side too. Oh yeah, there are those out there who are diehard DC fans that to be a DC fan means you gotta hate anything that's Marvel or cheer against anything that's Marvel. In this case, I think there are some people out there who proclaim themselves to be big fans of Marvel, but really they're not big fans of Marvel. What they are is corporate slaves to Marvel, and they define their fandom by what they hate. I'm a Marvel fan. You can tell I'm a Marvel fan because I hate anything that's DC. And I think, to be fair, I think there are some of those out there that just want anything that comes out with a DC label on it. Anything with a DC label on it, they want to be bad and they want to fail because in some way in their pea-sized brains, they think that if a DC movie sucks, that makes Marvel even better. No, it doesn't. If Superman comes out and it sucks, guess what? Secret Invasion still sucks. If they think that if Superman comes out and it's terrible, well then Ant-Man and the Wasp won't be so bad. Or Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, I should say. Yes, it will. Ant-Man and the Wasp is still terrible. It doesn't matter how good or bad Superman is. But it's that tribal mentality, right? It's that tribal mentality. And so I think While I don't believe it's a huge number of people, I think there are some people out there who want Superman to be bad and want Superman to fail. I believe some of those come out of that camp of that tribal Marvel fanism. At least they call themselves Marvel fans, but they're only really fans in terms that they hate anything that's not Marvel and they hate DC. And so since this thing is DC, they want it to fail because in some weird way, in their pint-sized little brains, they think somehow that makes Marvel more glorious if Superman fails. It's idiotic, it's stupid, it's pathetic, but it is. It is what it is. So there are some of those out there. All right, so that's one group. Another small group are people who just hate James Gunn. And I'm not talking about hate James Gunn creatively, because I think you can find a lot of people who maybe have not appreciated James Gunn's work up till now, but they still hope that future stuff he does is good. Like, hell, it's a Superman movie. It's Superman, so I'm going to go see it. Man, I haven't liked James Gunn's stuff so far, but I hope this next one's good, right? There's a lot of those people, and that's perfectly good, perfectly healthy. Nothing wrong with not liking James Gunn's work. I am a James Gunn appreciator. I'm a big fan of his work, but there's nothing wrong if you're not. That's perfectly fine. And I think there's a lot of people out there, or some people out there, who fall into that category, but still hope Superman is good. But I'm talking about like people, probably something more politically motivated. Like, James Gunn doesn't like a particular politician I like. Therefore, I want anything that he does to fail, which is stupid. Listen. I happen to be someone, I'm not trying to bring politics into my show, but I have to address these people who just keep bringing their politics into fandom. I personally think Barack Obama is probably the greatest U.S. president in my lifetime. I don't necessarily think he's the greatest world leader in my lifetime, but I think he's the greatest U.S. president in my lifetime. You can agree or disagree, that's fair. But my point is that for some of you who remember back during one of the elections that Obama was running in, like one person who really didn't want Barack Obama to be nominated was the great Clint Eastwood. And you guys remember the whole Clint Eastwood and the chair thing? If you don't remember it, if you don't know about it, just go look it up on Google or something. It was pretty weird. It was pretty odd or whatever, right? So here was on that particular issue, like I had a different opinion than Clint Eastwood did. Okay. Did it make me lose 1 inch of appreciation for how great of a filmmaker Clint Eastwood is? Not every single Clint Eastwood movie is a masterpiece. Of course not. No, nobody is. But did it make me less appreciative for how great of an artist he is, or less excited for any of the new movies that come out? Not at all. Okay, he's got a different point of view on somebody that neither he or I know personally. That's fine. He's a great filmmaker. And we're talking about movies, so I love his film. I'm not going to go, no, I hope everything that Clint Eastwood does burns and fails. I hope his next movie sucks. No, I'm always excited about the next Clint Eastwood movie. And so I think there are probably some people, some small number of people out there who just, James Gunn doesn't happen to like a particular politician that they do like, and therefore I'm going to hate everything about that person now. It's small, it's pathetic, but it is what it is. So that's another one. So then there's a third group that we can't ignore. Again, small, but very mouthy. You see, I think there's a lot of fans of Zack Snyder who are like myself. Remember, before Rebel Moon, there's only ever been one Zack Snyder movie that I didn't like, and that was Sucker Punch. I have liked or loved every single other Zack Snyder movie. And I think there's the majority of Zack Snyder fans, I'm willing to say I believe a majority of Zack Snyder fans are looking forward to seeing the new DCU, and they're looking forward to seeing the new Superman. Maybe they totally believe in it. Maybe they're kind of nervous about it. But I think most Zack Snyder fans are legitimately hopeful, because the S stands for hope. They're legitimately hopeful that the new Superman is good. They don't know if it's going to be good. It might not be good. Some of them might even fear it's not going to be good, but they're hopeful that it will be good. And they hope it's great, and they hope we all get to go and see a movie that we celebrate. However, there are some people who will call themselves Zack Snyder fans that have this weird twisted belief that if James Gunn's Superman fails, then Warner Brothers is going to run out and bring Zack Snyder back. Guys, as the card-carrying biggest fan in the world of Man of Steel, there's Henry. As the card-carrying single biggest, I'm a bigger fan of Man of Steel than you are. Unless you're actually Zack Snyder watching this show, or perhaps Zack Snyder's mom, I've got you beat. I am a bigger fan of Man of Steel than you are. That being said, if you think for 1 second that even if, like, James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU falls in its face and burns, if you think for 1 second that Warner Brothers is going to run out and bring back Zack Snyder, you're certifiably stupid. I mean, that's a really stupid thing to believe. That is never going to happen in a billion years. It ain't going to happen. But there are some people who just kind of think they've got this weird thing in their head, kind of like the Marvel fans who want it because they somehow think that if Superman fails, that makes Marvel even better. No, it doesn't. Marvel is still what it is. It's just that Superman was bad. You know, I don't know how to break it to people. Zack Snyder ain't coming back. And I say this is that before Rebel Moon, because those are two of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. But before those, I have liked or loved every single Zack Snyder movie except for Sucker Punch, which a friend of mine is actually in that movie. Anyway. So you've got some what they would call themselves the Snyder Bros out there just want Superman to be bad because they think somehow that will elevate Zack Snyder's movies. Guys, listen, as the card-carrying biggest fan in the world of Man of Steel, I got to tell you, there's a lot of people who do not like that movie. And that's okay. It's all right. That doesn't change how I feel about it. That doesn't change the validity of my opinion of it. But it's just a reality. If you and I are fans of Man of Steel, there's a lot of movie-going people that didn't like that movie. That didn't like Batman vs. Superman, although I did. That didn't like Justice League, whether it's the theatrical version or the HBO version. Either one. And by the way, I thought the HBO version was a little bit better than the theatrical one. Had some really bad things in it, but still. But they seem to have this weird thing in their head that if James Gunn fails, that makes the movies they like, that everybody else in the world is going to like the movies that they like more. Guys, listen to me. My fellow Man of Steel fans. If James Gunn's Superman sucks, not a single person who doesn't like Man of Steel is suddenly going to like Man of Steel. I know that's hard to hear. Maybe you need to sit down as I say it again, because I know it's difficult. Maybe you want to go grab that comfort teddy. Maybe you want to get your dog come sit next to you. Maybe have your mom come in and give you a hug. To hear it again, but I need to say it again. Even if Man of Steel or Superman sucks, the new James Gunn Superman sucks, even if it does, and it could, but even if it does, it is not going to change one single person or human being or film fan's mind about how they already feel about Man of Steel. It's not going to gain one more fan. Not a single one. And the opposite is true. To my fellow fans of Man of Steel, if James Gunn's Superman is great, it ain't good. Man of Steel isn't going to lose a single fan. You think I'm going to love Man of Steel any less if James Gunn's Superman is great? Of course not. That's how children fucking think. And you're not a child. You're a grown-ass person. So don't think the way children would think. Oh, I hope Superman's bad. Why? So more people will like my movies. That ain't going to happen. You know what it's like? You know how sad it is, to put it in really sad, pathetic terms? If the girl you're crushing on who has no interest in you if she suddenly breaks up with her boyfriend, she ain't gonna suddenly like you. That's what this is. It's a lonely dude sitting in his basement going, oh, if only that girl of my dreams wasn't dating that guy, she'd get together with me. No, she wouldn't. Just picturing that in my head. I'm just saying, and that's what it's like. It's like, oh my gosh, so many people don't like the movies I like. Well, hopefully if Superman's bad, more people will like the movies I like. Guys, it ain't gonna happen. You and I are in a not tiny, but a modest-sized club called the Man of Steel Fan Club. We're not about to add any more numbers to our club. Okay? Whether Superman, at least not based on Superman. So, but there are those people out there who want Superman to be bad because they have some really weird, twisted fantasies about suddenly their fandom will look better. No, it won't. And your fandom won't look any worse if Superman is great. But some people, they think like children and they don't wrap their heads around that. So that's another group. Then there's a fourth group. That just want to hate on everything. You know the type. Every movie looks stupid. Every movie looks like it's going to suck. Everything sucks. Everything's terrible. And I don't know how certain people like this live or are able to function in society, but we know these types. And they're going to feel the same way for a Zack Snyder movie and a James Gunn movie and a Marvel movie and a DC movie and a Harry Potter movie and a George Lucas Star Wars movie, a Disney era Star Wars. It doesn't matter. Everything sucks. As Michael Caine would say, some men just want to watch the world burn. That was a terrible Michael Caine impersonation. I apologize for that. That was awful. And my apologies to Michael Caine. Anyway. Some men just want to watch the world burn. No, that wasn't any better. That was equally as bad. Yeah. So, but I need the rest of my fellow film fans to keep in mind that these people are the minority. Whichever one of those four groups they drop into, and there might be other little groups, we have to remember they are a very small, just a very mouthy minority. And again, I've said it 3 times, but I gotta say it again. Don't confuse those people who want the movie to be bad with the people who think the movie will be bad. There's nothing wrong with thinking the movie will be bad. There's nothing wrong with seeing the trailers, looking at the stuff coming out and going, I don't know if this looks good, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You can think something looks bad and still hope it's good. And like, that's how I approach a number of things, man. There's certain things that I don't think look very good. And then I get very fortunate and lucky and get pleasantly surprised by it. But yeah, but here's the thing to keep in mind. The vast majority of the movie-going audience, 95% or more, are very stoked for Superman. No matter how mouthy the minority may be, the vast majority of film fans are very excited for Superman. That first trailer came out, became the 5th highest viewed trailer in history. Like right out of the gate. Both Fandango and IMDb ran independent surveys of their user base and found both of them said that on both of their platforms, Superman was the #1 most anticipated movie of the year for film fans on their platforms. A lot of people excited about it. Doesn't mean it's going to be good. It could end up being bad, man. It could stink. Maybe it does. But I'm going to hope it's good. And I think most people are going to hope it's good. So, yeah. That's just kind of my thoughts, guys, on this Monday evening about what a lot of people have been writing into me asking, saying, John, why on earth do some people want this movie to be bad? Because they're pathetic. They're not pathetic if they think it's going to be bad. That's totally fair. That's just a fair, guess. That's a fair guess. It's a fair projection. It's a fair evaluation of what they've seen. But I'll never understand the smallness of people who want a movie to be bad. That I just don't get, but it's part of the fandom. It's part of the fandom. Anyway, guys, with that down, let's go over and start taking your questions here, shall we? Again, the super chats are open. They'll be open for at least a little bit long. I don't want to go too much over an hour tonight, but they are going to be open for just a little bit longer. So let's go over and start taking your questions, shall we? We are going to start off here with Richard Lai, who writes, "Hey, John, I'm excited for Superman and want it to succeed, but the reason why some fans want the film to fail is because they, Snyder fans, are down bad. They've lost an epic story involved Justice League versus Darkseid. They didn't lose anything. Listen, I say this as somebody who loved Man of Steel, quite liked Batman versus Superman, quite liked Justice League, both versions. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I liked Justice League before it was cool to like Justice League. I liked Justice League before the HBO version. I liked it even more with the HBO version. But they hadn't really built up to anything Darkseid. He sort of pops up and is just there. It's not like we had the foundations for an epic Darkseid versus Justice League story, right? I mean, look, let's just call it what it is. There was no real groundwork laid except for, oh, hi, I'm here. I'm Darkseid. Oh, and you got me through my boom tube. Oh, curses, you kids. They hadn't done the work yet. They would have, but they hadn't done the work yet to build up to a Darkseid versus Justice League thing. He was just there. Now, DC can still build up to a Darkseid versus Justice League. Actually, I would be shocked if they're not at some point going to be building up to a Justice League versus Darkseid. I will say this, and I say this as somebody who has loved almost every Zack Snyder film. But I got to say this. If Rebel Moons Part 1 and 2 were any indication of the epic storytelling that Zack Snyder was going to bring to Justice League versus Darkseid, it might just be just as well that he's not doing it anymore. And again, I say that as somebody who loved the previous movies. But I'm just saying, if Rebel Moons Part 1 and 2 was any indication of the epic storytelling we were about to get, yeah, it might be just as well that we moved on. And listen, I forever worship George Lucas. I got this big portrait of George Lucas in my studio and in my office. I forever will worship at the altar of George Lucas. But if the prequels were any indication of where Star Wars would have continued to go had George Lucas not sold it off, it might be just as well that he sold it off. Now, we've never gotten anything as good as the original trilogy, but I mean, it might be just as well that he sold it off. Just kind of my thought on that. All right. Thanks for that, Richard. Appreciate it, man. Next up, Chris S. writes, Superman represents hope, but yet Superman fans are hoping for the negative. Sad to see. I saw your number one actor due for an Oscar is Ralph Fiennes. Is William Dafoe in the Campea top 3 on that list? Yes. I don't know where. So I have had for a long time, this goes all the way back to Gary Oldman, where for many, many years I said Gary Oldman is the best actor in the world that doesn't have an Academy Award yet. And then he played Winston Churchill and he got his Academy Award. So that meant it was the next one up. And the next one up to me, without question, it's Ralph Fiennes. Ralph Fiennes is the best actor in the world who doesn't have an Oscar on his mantle, who's still currently acting and still currently working. Now, if Ralph Fiennes wins it this year, I think he's got a good chance. I'm not saying he will win, but I think he's got a good chance with the Conclave, which is masterful. Conclave is so good. I hope it wins Best Picture. I mean, I really hope Dune 2 wins Best Picture, but it's not going to win. So I'm going to cheer for Conclave. Anyway, if Ralph Fiennes wins it this year, that brings up a big question. Then who steps up next? And Willem Dafoe is going to be one of those guys I got to think about. It's either going to be Willem. It's going to probably be down to about 3 names. And I think Willem Dafoe is definitely going to be one of those names. I don't know if that's who it'll be, but you know what? Let's get through the Oscars first. Because if Ralph Fiennes doesn't win, And there's a really stacked category this year for the best actor nominees. So Ralph Fiennes may not win. If Ralph Fiennes doesn't win, then we don't even have to worry about it because he's still the guy. But if he's not it very well could be Willem Dafoe after that. All right. Next up, we go to Sewer Dave, who writes, this noise has to be coming from somewhere. Critiques on what we've seen so far are valid, but overshadowed or discredited because Gunn bros and Snyder heads. Here's the thing. I don't know if there's any such thing as Gunn bros. I have not seen any evidence that there's any such thing as Gunn bros. Like, I haven't seen this sort of thing where, like, people fight rabidly for, I don't know, Peacemaker to win the Emmys or anything like that. Like, I just haven't seen any evidence of that. I've seen people call anybody who's excited about James Gunn a Gunn bro. I'm definitely a James Gunn fan. 100% I am. I make no qualms about that. I'm a big James Gunn fan. But I'm also kind of realistic about it. Like, I know the Superman movie's coming out. I say it every day. Superman could suck, man. Could be terrible. Might not be good. And I just haven't seen this church of Gunn that some people seem to suggest is out there. I just haven't seen it. That's just me. I'm not that say that there couldn't become one. There could, but I just haven't seen it yet. But that's just me. I could be wrong about that. All right. Thanks for that, Sewer. All right. Next up. Hey, John, you are a Tesla car guy, right? I am a Tesla guy. Yes. What do you think of the new Model Y refresh? You can check one at North Hollywood Tesla showroom. Are you Joe Adonis, a Tesla salesman? I don't know what to think about the new Model Y. I have a Model Y. Well, Ann drives a Model Y. I drive a Model 3. And I really like the Model Y a lot. So this new Model Y, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. Like, sometimes I look at it and I think this looks weird. And then sometimes I look at it and think that looks kind of sexy. So I'm not really sure what I think. I do know it's kind of expensive. Like, I think it starts at $56,000. So it's a little pricey. But I mean, and they are great cars. I mean, you can think whatever you want to think about Elon Musk and whatever. But Teslas are really good cars. They're really good cars. I've never been happier than with the cars I have right now. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think at some point Ann and I will take a look at one, but honestly, like, her car is only going on 3 years old now. We're not in any position where we want to buy a new car again. I think we're going to have these cars that we have right now for many more years. Until they probably break down or something like that. Maybe once they break down, we'll look at getting another ones. But I gotta say, the Model Ys look pretty cool. They look pretty cool. All right. Next up, we've got Orange Hand, who writes, should sports teams have salary caps? Yes, 100%. It's not that sports teams should have salary caps. Sports leagues should have salary caps. Because that puts everybody on an equal playing field. See, to me, a team championship isn't just about the players on the field or on the ice or on the court. It's also about the organization putting together the best team. But it's only fair if everybody has the same amount of money they can spend. So you get some leagues where it's like one team will literally spend 4 times as much as another team does. It's not really fair. So, I mean, I like the idea, and I have always advocated I like the idea of salary caps in professional sports because it puts every team on an equal playing field, which means your executives, not just your players, have to be better than the other team's players. Your executive, your front office staff, your administration has to be better than the other team's executives, administration, staff, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I like the idea of salary caps in leagues. All right. Next up, Jaden Voss writes, hey, John, how cool would it be for a movie theater if it had its own car wash attached to it and you would get in for free if you show them your movie ticket? Well, you know what? There's actually something kind of like that, at least at a couple of places in LA. And I'm sure these exist. Now, it's not that you get a free car wash with your movie ticket. You'll go bankrupt if you do that, right? Because that running a car wash isn't inexpensive. It's cheap. So you got to make some money. But I know, for example, the AMC Century City in Los Angeles, when you go into its parking structure, you can go to one of the floors where you can leave your car to get washed while you go to your movie or while you go shopping or whatever. So it's kind of like that. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I think it's a really great little thing if you go to a movie theater that has that right there. They might even give you a discount if you get your, what's it called? Validated. If you get your parking ticket validated at the movie theater, I think they even give you a little bit of a discount. So it's actually a good idea. You just can't do it for free because there's no way that financially that would never work. You'd go out of business, but yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Jaden. Anything you can do to make the movie going experience a better experience for the people going, for your customers, is always a good idea. All right. Next up, we've got Johnny Got Lost writes, most people think he's lame since evil Superman pastiches have become popular. He's someone kind. You're talking about Superman in general. He's someone kind that you can count on, someone you can give a hug to. I think we need someone like that today more than ever. I don't disagree. Now listen, I am somebody who I appreciate dark superheroes, but I don't believe dark superheroes are the only superheroes they should be. I think dark superheroes are pretty cool, juxtaposed against, the brighter superheroes, stuff like that. Now listen, I think people give Henry Cavill Superman, I think people really misunderstand Henry Cavill Superman. Henry Cavill Superman was not a dour Superman. He was a guy, though, he was a man that when we met him in Man of Steel and in Zack Snyder's Superman, he was a man who was shaken to his core and still hadn't figured out who he was. Like, how much would it mess up a kid to find out I'm not even a human being? I'm an alien. I'm an alien from another universe. I'm not even a human. My parents aren't even my parents. I don't know what the hell I am or where I'm from or anything like that. And when we meet Kal-El in Man of Steel, he still hasn't figured any of that out. And everybody just thinks, oh, he should have been a super happy. No, he was a guy struggling to even know what and who he was. And then his father died. And he had to go on this like massive spirit walk around the world, just trying to figure out who and what he was. And by the time Superman or Man of Steel ends, we're really just getting to that part where now he's going to become comfortable with who he is and what he is, and becoming more like the Superman that I think a lot of people envision. But to get to that point, man, if you expected a kid on Earth to be going through all that and just be, well, everything's dandy, I think that's unrealistic. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't get to that Superman. And it certainly does look like, this will be that kind of Superman. He's going to face some hard things, clearly. He's probably going to face loss. He's probably going to face massive hurdles. But it looks like we're getting that brighter Superman, that more positive Superman this time around. And I'm great with exploring and investigating Superman and different aspects of him. But it looks like we're going to get that kind of Superman that people like yourself and many others are kind of hoping for. We'll find out. We'll see. Don't know that for sure, though. All right. Next one up. We got Big Mouth Stan who writes, John, have you seen the trailer for Sinners? If you're talking about the trailer for the trailer, yes, that 1 minute new trailer coming soon, but it was literally a minute long. Yes, I've seen it. I'm looking forward to the full trailer coming out, and I think this movie is going to be awesome. Ryan Coogler is one of the most exciting filmmakers we have today. I mean, this guy just hasn't missed yet. I didn't love Black Panther 2, but he made Black Panther 2 under nearly impossible circumstances. So you got to give him some leeway for that. But I think he's one of the most exciting filmmakers, especially when he works with Michael Jordan. And I'll tell you what, Sinners looks great to me. It looks really, really good. I can't wait to see it. All right. Let's see. Next up, SK Zhang writes, Happy Chinese New Year soon, the year of the snake. You know how I knew it was the year of the snake? My wife Ann and I went to an LA Clippers game. They played the Milwaukee Bucks. It was our first time ever going to the Intuit Dome, the new multi-billion-dollar arena that the Clippers built. And it is simply the most impressive arena I have ever been in my life. SoFi Stadium may be the best football stadium in the world. The Intuit Dome is the best arena I've ever been to in my life. I mean, Ann and I were just flabbergasted by how incredible that place is. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because it was they were celebrating Chinese New Year at it the other night, and they were talking about how it is the year of the snake. So that is how I knew it was actually the year of the snake this year. There you go. All right. One more question, then we'll just take a quick short break. This next one comes to us from Andy, who writes, I saw Nickel Boys. It's really good. I can see why these are boys and not men, because neither of them could make it as a wise man or cut it as a poor man stealing. Yes, the Nickel Boys, the super boys to the supermen that are Nickelback. Man, a lot of people upset. Like, all film is subjective, and I don't disrespect at all anybody, whether they're normal film fans or Academy voters, who saw Emilia Perez and they liked it. Movies hit us all in different ways. And if Emilia Perez hit you in such a way that you felt it was one of the best movies of the year, awesome. More power to you. I'm not trying to discredit your opinion at all. But I felt very differently. I didn't even think Emilia Perez was a good movie. Like, forget great and forget Oscar caliber. I didn't even think Emilia Perez was a good movie. Like, I didn't think it was Razzie worthy, right? I didn't think it was one of the worst films of the year or anything like that. I don't think it sucks, but I did not think it was a good movie. I didn't think it was a good movie. And a lot of film fans were quite upset that, Nickel didn't get that nomination spot because it didn't get one of the 10 spots. And a lot of people think that one should have been pushed out for that. You know what? But there's always going to be a couple of those every year at the Oscars, right? Every year there's going to be a couple of those. All right, guys, listen. We still got a bunch of questions to get through, but before we do, we're going to pay some bills here and thank the sponsor of tonight's episode of Open Mic, our friends over, wait a second. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Our friends, sorry, Whiteside Town, whenever my thing goes off, I have to stop and check what it is. Anyway, we want to thank the sponsor of today's episode of Open Mic, our friends over at Kikoff. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Kikoff. January always feels like recovery mode, doesn't it? I mean, after all the holiday fun and, let's be honest, all the holiday spending, it can feel like a credit hangover. But don't worry, I've got the perfect solution to help you bounce back in 2025. Kikoff, the #1 credit building app in the App Store. Kikoff is a total game changer if you're looking to start building or improving your credit. Their plans? They start at just $5 a month. No credit check, no hidden fees, and no interest. Everybody's been there, guys. Trying to navigate credit can feel like a maze, but Kikoff makes it easy. You can sign up in minutes on your phone and be instantly set up with a credit line designed specifically for building credit, not for spending. And here's a fun fact. If your credit's under 600, you could jump around 28 points in your first month. It's that simple. Shake off the credit hangover and look forward to brighter credit with Kikoff. Get your first month for just $1 at getkikoff.com/Campea today. That's getkikoff, KIKOFF.com/Campea. Must sign up via kickoff.com/Campea to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only. Subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Points out based on Equifax VantageScore 3.0 changes for Kikoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024. Payment and credit activity outside of Kikoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary. And thank you to our friends at Kikoff for sponsoring tonight's episode of Open Mic. By the way, a couple of people in live chat were reminding me, John, Nickel did get nominated. I was thinking of Sing Sing. So that's sorry. So I got the wrong one there. That's the one I think didn't get nominated, and everybody was really angry that it didn't get nominated. Anyway, okay. With that down, guys, let's keep things going here, and we are going to pick up with. I'm not going to answer that. Let's see here. Where are we at? We're at SC, who writes, one of two. I just found out that the budget of Joker 2 was around $200 million, and I asked myself, how, why, how, and where? Why did that movie need $200 million? In fact, if the budget of Joker 2 was closer to Joker 1, it probably would have recovered its budget, even with the negative reviews and reception. You know, that is one of the things that I said coming out of that movie was like I'm not even sure. I can't remember if I knew what the budget of Joker 2 was prior to seeing the movie. But I remember after seeing the movie and seeing how bad the movie was and all that kind of stuff. When I came out of the movie and we were talking I was in some discussions about how much the movie costs, and I can't remember the exact budget of the film. But I remember when I came out of that movie and was in this first discussion about, how much it cost. One of my very first thoughts was, where? Like, where on earth did that money go? Where on earth was X number of hundreds of millions of dollars spent? Because I certainly didn't see it on the screen. It's not like there were these grand, massive set pieces. It was really more of an intimate film. Yeah, they had the big thing near the end when he gets out into the city streets, but that really wasn't much of the movie. And I know they had to pay Joaquin a lot to come back for another one. I know they had to play Gaga a bunch, but I mean, that still left a lot of money on the table. It's like, where did this get spent? And, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much a movie spent on it. The only thing that matters is, was it a good movie or not? Like, a bad movie at the right price is still a bad movie. That's a kind of take of an old saying that says, the wrong house at the right price is still the wrong house. So like, a bad movie that costs $200 million to make is still a bad movie if it costs them $40 million to make. The only difference is maybe one would have been profitable and one wouldn't have. But yeah, that's about all I got. I did not see where the money got spent either, to be honest with you. All right, next up, we've got Guillaume Lebel, who writes, Bonjour, Jean. Bonjour, Guillemets. Ça va? Just turned 30 this past weekend. Happy birthday. The number one movie at the box office on my birthday was Legend of the Fall. Wow. Thoughts on this gem? I like Legends of the Fall. And you know what the funny thing is about Legends of the Fall? Is that it's not my kind of movie, right? It's not my kind of movie. But we are talking about the Brad Pitt one, right? Like, let me double check to make sure we're talking about the Brad Pitt film. Hold a second. Legends of the Fall. Want to make sure, and the Anthony Hopkins one, right? Yeah, Anthony Hopkins. But here's the kicker. Here's the thing that I remember most about Legends of the Fall. Is one of the most interesting stories, I think, in all of Hollywood history is the female lead of Legends of the Fall. An actress by the name of Julia Ormond. Do you guys remember Julia Ormond? For a period of about a year and a half, she was the hottest actress in Hollywood. It looked like she was the next Julia Roberts. Not only did she do Legends of the Fall, she was in a couple of other things as well. And I loved her. I thought she was great. She was also in that one with Sean Connery. Was it called First Night? She was in that one with Sean Connery. called First Night, and she was great in that. And then she was in this movie Sabrina. Now, Legends of the Fall, First Night, and Sabrina that she did with Harrison Ford all came out like within a year of each other in like 1994 and 1995. And like she was the thing too. By the way, if you have not seen Sabrina, it's one of the rare remakes that's better than the original. I know that sounds sacrilegious, but the remake, I think it's Greg Kinnear, Julie Armand, Harrison Ford. It's amazing. I love Sabrina. And it's, again, one of those situations where the sequel was, or where the remake was better than the original. Anyway. So for this really small window of time, she was starring in a movie with Brad Pitt, Harrison Ford, Richard Gere, Sean Connery. Like she was it. And then poof, like a fart in the wind, she just disappeared. She just disappeared. And granted, she popped up in a couple of things here or there, but I would love to know whatever happened because she was on the fast track to being the actress in Hollywood, like for the next 10, 15 years. And then it just stopped. It just stopped. And anyway, so when you bring up Legends of the Fall, that's one of the things that comes. So yes, I did really like Legends of the Fall. And yeah, no Kane Legion. Harrison Ford was not in First Night. Harrison Ford was in Sabrina. I'm listing off all the actors she worked with in that 1 year period. Sean Connery and Richard Gere in First Night. Harrison Ford and Greg Kinnear in Sabrina. Anthony Hopkins and Brad Pitt in Legends of the Fall. I mean, that's all in 1 year. Can you imagine being an actor? And then in 1 year, you get to work with Harrison Ford, Greg Kinnear, Anthony Hopkins, Brad Pitt, Sean Connery, Richard Gere, all in 1 year. And you're the leading lady to all of them. That was a crazy run. And all of a sudden, it just stopped. It just stopped. I'd love someday to really find out what happened there. I would love someday to find out what happened there. Anyway, okay, let's keep going here. Let's see. Eric Escato writes, hey, big fan since the AMC days. Thank you so much. Do you think the Batman in Creature Commandos looks like Batfleck? No, it was a silhouette. Also, where do you rank him in the Batman of the past? Where do I rank the silhouette of Batman in Creature Commandos to the Batman of the past? Or are you asking where do I rank Batfleck in the Batman of the past? I'm going to assume you mean Batfleck and not the silhouette. He was my favorite Batman. And I've talked about this before. The reason Ben Affleck was my favorite Batman, not that Batman versus Superman was better than The Dark Knight. And I'm not necessarily saying that Ben Affleck is a better actor than Christian Bale or anything like that. It's just that to me, Ben Affleck to this day remains the one on-screen Batman that seemed to get it. And what I mean by get it is that he was the only Batman that understood that Batman was the real person and Bruce Wayne was the mask. Every other Batman, even the great Christopher Nolan Batman movies, the one knock I have on the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and they are the best, though, is that when it was just Bruce Wayne by himself, like talking to Alfred, you could tell the real guy was still Bruce. And he would put on this facade of Batman to strike fear into his enemies. What Ben Affleck understood was that Bruce Wayne died in that alley with his parents. Little Bruce Wayne died in that alley with his parents, and the Batman was born. And the reason I love Ben Affleck's Batman so much, and again, I'm not saying Batman versus Superman was better than The Dark Knight. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the reason why Ben is my favorite is because when he portrayed him, like when he's talking to Alfred, he's Batman. I mean, that's who he really is. He's that broken guy. And then you see him go to the dinner party and he totally puts on this facade, right? And that's why he's my favorite Batman. I just think Zack Snyder and Ben Affleck, say what you want about the other weaknesses and stuff like that, but I just think Zack Snyder and Ben Affleck got it, and they understood that true core nature of Batman in a way that I haven't seen the other Batman films really get it. Robert Pattinson's Batman is coming close, but I think one of the evolutions we have to see in Robert Pattinson's Batman is that he still hasn't created the facade of Bruce Wayne yet. Like, he is that dark, dour, I am vengeance, I am the night Batman, but he hasn't really created his Bruce Wayne persona yet. Maybe once he does that, it'll elevate him a bit more. But yeah, I'd say Ben is my favorite one so far. All right. Let's see. Next up. Tohirder Razik says, John, what is the secret to your awesome hair? I'll tell you what the secret to my awesome hair is: as low maintenance as possible. The only time I've ever had, I don't have good hair. The only time I have had good hair in my life is back when I used to play in my bands. When I would play in bands, my hair would literally be down to here. Not many pictures. There are still some photos. I still have some photos of when my hair was like down to here. And I would tie it up into my Bono ponytail, my Bono Joshua Tree era ponytail. And I'd play my guitar and my hair would be doing that. Oh yeah, I had that hair. Ever since then, though, somebody's saying no gray. Are you kidding? Look at, you know what? It depends on how the light hits it. You could see, especially in here. Now, granted, I've had this for a number of years. I started getting a little bit of gray in the side of my hair probably in my late 30s. Now, it hasn't really, right here, especially, see this right here? Look at that. You can see the gray. I got the Reed Richardson grain here, and kind of a little salt and pepper in the front. The main part of my hair, still not bad. Still not bad. Oh yeah, but I got the gray. I've had some gray since I was in my late 30s. But ever since I got my hair cut from the band days, I have gone low maintenance haircuts. I want to be able to brush my hair with a face cloth. And so, like, I have very bland, non-interesting hair. The only thing I'm happy about is that, and bald is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but like my dad is bald, my uncles on my dad's side, all bald, my cousin, bald, not totally bald, but you lose the hair you get the Friar Tuck thing going. And the only thing I was, I didn't happen to want to go bald, but if I did, like, some of the sexiest men in the world are bald, but I just wanted to keep my hair. So I'm pretty happy that I got my hair. I may have boring, bland, stupid hair, but at least I have it. So I was always pretty happy about that. All right. Next up, where are we at? We're at Christopher Brickner, who writes, John, no matter what, you'll never fail as badly as the live service game Concord. 8 years to make, $400 million budget, server shut down after 11 days, all true. You know what? I heard about that. I still don't know anything about Concord, but I remember that blew up the news feeds. Shortly after it came out or something like that, it all shut down. Yeah, I heard it's like one of the biggest financial catastrophes in video game history. And I still know nothing about it. Dude, I'll tell you what, I do not have enough time dedicated to playing games anymore. I got to start finding more time just to start playing games again. I downloaded Marvel Rivals the other day on my PS5, but I quit on it in the tutorial stage because I could not find the control. I'm one of these guys that I've got to inverse the XY axis. I have to inverse it because I have it like piloting games that if you want to go up, you pull back on the stick to go up. And if you want to go down, you push forward on the stick to go down, right? I have that same mentality. So if I'm playing any kind of a game and I want to look down, I will always push the controller up, and then it goes up instead of down. And it's like, in most games, you can find a place to inverse that controller, and I haven't been able to find in Marvel Rivals where you can inverse the controller. I gotta find a way to do that. That, and I gotta get, because I want to do play-in chats again. Remember when I used to do play-in chats? But I gotta find a good game that isn't too involved, so I can still talk and stuff like that. I want to get back to doing some play-in chats too at some point. Anyway, all right. Next up, Mum-Ra, the Ever Living, writes, the old Loose Cannons poster, VHS cover, and Tubi thumbnail say Andy Dick on the art, but he's not in the film. Could this be Ana de Armas situation? Which movie was Loose Cannons? Hold on a second. It's a 1990 film. Was that Gene Hackman and Dan Aykroyd? Is that who's in that? You know what? I have no memory of this movie. It's Gene Hackman and Dan Aykroyd, and I have no memory of this movie. Anyway, does it say that Andy Dick is in it? It says, okay, so Gene Hackman, Dan Aykroyd, Dom DeLuise, Ronnie Cox, who was great, by the way, Nancy Travis, Dick O'Neill. Yeah, I don't see anybody, and I don't see it saying on the, I'm not sure. I don't see anything on the cover about it, so not really sure. Anyway, yeah, the Ana de Armas thing is still such a weird thing. For those of you who don't know what he means by the Ana de Armas thing, there was that little movie, pretty good movie, by the way, out a few years ago called Yesterday, about just this normal guy who's a musician. He dreams about being big, and he gets hit by a bus, something like that, I think. And when he wakes up, nobody in the world remembers the Beatles. And so he starts playing all the Beatles songs and pretending like he wrote them, but nobody in the world remembers the Beatles. So they think all these songs are his. Anyway, in the trailers for this movie, this guy becomes a big deal, and he's on the talk show circuit, and they show in the trailers the mega famous actress Ana de Armas on these talk shows with him. And she pops up in a couple of shots in the trailers. Well, as happens sometimes, before a movie comes out, they haven't finalized the edit yet. And they finalize the edit, and Ana de Armas is taken out of the movie. Okay, fair enough. But here's the thing. Even after they took her out of the movie, they kept showing her in the trailers. Even when the movie was going to streaming, in the marketing for streaming, they kept showing Ana de Armas in it, even though she had been taken out of the movie ages ago. So a bunch of people got together and said, hey, we actually paid money to watch this because we thought Ana de Armas was in it. We're Ana de Armas fans. You're telling us that she's in the movie. She's a big famous star. It's not like some little extra person who was cut out of the movie. And they sued. And I remember it caused a really big controversy amongst movie fans about whether or not they should be able to sue them or not. See, Uni Shin, here's the thing. This is the wrong thinking people had. Some people saying, like Hulk and Avengers in the Forest in the Infinity War trailer. No, it's not. Because you know what? Hulk is in Infinity War. He's in it. That one shot of him isn't in it, but he's in the movie. Ana de Armas was not in the movie. And even after it was done its theatrical run, they kept using her in the marketing, even when it was on streaming, long after she'd been taken out of the movie. It was not like the Hulk thing, because Hulk was in the movie. It's just that this one shot we saw of the Hulk wasn't in it. That wasn't the case here. It's not like Ana de Armas was still in the movie, just not that one shot of her. No, she wasn't in the movie at all, and they kept advertising that she was in it. And so there was a lot of people who thought, no, it's perfectly fine. And there's a lot of people, and I happen to be with the other people who thought, no, this is a problem. Because like, where do you draw the line then? Like, you're literally telling the audience, the customers, that somebody is in this movie that you like, and you may even buy a ticket, or you might even buy the VOD of this movie based on the fact that this one of your favorite movie stars is in it and they're not even in it. It's not like the Hulk situation. You know what it is like? Is if you were watching the Infinity War trailer and Superman was in it. That's more like this. Because obviously Superman's not in Infinity War. Hulk is in Infinity War. Superman's not. So it would have been as if they were putting out trailers for Infinity War and now it's Infinity War. Oh no, we got to start Thanos. You know what? What's up in the sky? It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. But Superman's not in the movie. That would be more likened unto this. That would be more likened unto this. So, yeah, there's a difference between a shot not being in the movie and an entire famous actor that you advertise as in the film, even once it goes to streaming and you keep advertising that actress is in the film. Yeah, that's an issue. That's a problem. Anyway, that's just one thing. Okay, next up. Rachel Knight Online writes, I love hearing from people how easy it is to produce things. I produced a 30-minute pilot that didn't get picked up and had insomnia for weeks. Yeah, listen, one of the biggest fallacies amongst film fans is, and I think we all trick ourselves into thinking this at some point, is that producing something, making a good movie is easy. Making a really good TV show, super easy. Saying, how hard can it be? How often do we hear film fans, come on, we do this, say, oh, how hard could it be to do a good this movie? You want to know how hard it could be? Nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible. It is a Herculean task to make a good movie that the critics and the audiences enjoy. It's hard, man. It's really hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. And they can't. And one of the reasons I made a couple of little movies, especially my first movie, The Anniversary, one of the reasons I made that first movie was one of the big motivations behind me doing it was because I wanted to be able to better appreciate what it is filmmakers actually do. So I went ahead and I made a little movie called The Anniversary. Let me see if I can find this. Anniversary. See if I can pull up a little thing of it here for you. Wow. Oops, that might be why. Hold on a second. I misspelled my own name. That's not good when you're misspelling your own name. I don't know if I can bring this up or not. Hold on a second. No, that's not it at all. Let me see if I could do this again. I'm trying to find this thing. What if I go here? Well, yeah, this is a trailer, a very blown up trailer of like a little movie I did called The Anniversary. And I'm very proud of it. Oh, it's terrible by professional Hollywood standards. Oh yeah, make no mistake. It's absolutely terrible by professional Hollywood standards. But I'm personally very proud of the movie because I made it. And so there's my buddy Manolis. Yeah, oh man, I still remember us shooting this film, man. It was a lot of fun. Oh, I can't remember if oh no, Aaron Cummings is in this movie, by the way. This is that I was already friends with Aaron, but I talked Aaron into being in this little movie for me. Man, this is so old now. This is so old. Anyway, so that was my little movie called The Anniversary. And why did I bring that up? Oh yeah, the whole reason I brought it up is because I just wanted to appreciate and listen, man. I tell you, you think it's easy making a good movie that everybody loves? Go ahead. Go make it. Go ahead. It ain't easy, man. And I found that out. I mean, I kind of knew it already, but man, did I ever really, really find that out and appreciate it when I actually went ahead and tried to make my own movie. But you're right, Rachel. People need to appreciate. I think we as film fans need to appreciate more that when we get a really good movie, I love Jake Knight's comment here. I can't even make a good comment that everybody loves. Right? But I just think we as film fans, we need to really appreciate even more. When we do see a good movie, we need to really appreciate it and really appreciate the artistry, the talent, the luck maybe that went into it, and really understand that, man, it is really damn hard. It's so hard to make a good movie. It really is. Anyway, thanks for that, Rachel. All right, next up, SC writes, I'm 95% sure that I'm going to like Superman because I like the DCEU movies, except for Suicide Squad, David Ayer. You know what? I even like David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I know it was a hot mess. I've been saying that for years. I totally understand that the David Ayer Suicide Squad was kind of a hot mess put together by music video people. I know it was. But I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you I came out with a smile on my face. I had fun. And you know what? I don't care what anybody else says. I love Joker in it. I did. I love Jared Leto's Joker. I thought Jared Leto Joker and Harley Quinn's chemistry and everything, I thought one of the things that Suicide Squad movie needed was more of the two of them on screen together. But whatever. I thought it was fun. A hot mess. Yes. Kind of ridiculous. Yes, but I even like that movie. But listen, the reason I think I'm going to end up really liking this this new movie, this new Superman and this new DCU is not because I liked the DCEU, but rather because I have liked just about every James Gunn movie. Whether you're talking about Super, or whether you're talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy, or whether you're talking about Peacemaker, or whether you're talking about his Suicide Squad, or whether you're talking about my favorite movie of his, Slither, like every movie he's made, I've really liked. So that gives me a lot of hope for it. But hey, whatever the reason you have for being optimistic is totally good by me. I'm trying to be optimistic too. All right, next up, we got Big Mouth Stan who writes, do you think Dr. Doom will win at the end of Doomsday like Thanos did? Or do you think they'll never have a villain definitively win because it'll look like as copying the Infinity War saga formula? Well, it depends on how much they draw from the original comic story, because if you know the more modern version of Secret Wars, Dr. Doom is a pretty central figure in Secret Wars, right? I don't want to give too much away for those who don't know anything about it. But let's put it this way. You can't have Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom can't die at the end of Doomsday. Let's just say that. Depending on how close they're going to stick to something, Dr. Doom can't die at the end of Doomsday. Now, whether that means he wins like Thanos wins in Infinity War, or think about this. Who wins in the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope? Do the good guys win? Or does the evil empire win? Because you can look at it and say, well, the good guys won, right? They blew up the Death Star. Good for them. Good for the rebels. You blow up that Death Star. It didn't change anything. The Empire was still the Empire, and they were still on the run. Because when we pick things up in Empire Strikes Back, did that big win like put the Empire really on its heels and lead the way to a great victory? No. As soon as we get to Empire Strikes Back, what are the rebels doing? They're hiding out on the frickin' ice planet. They're hiding out on an ice ball, just getting ready to run at the first sign of any empire. So did the rebels win? Or did the rebels just eke out a minor victory, but we're still overall losing? So you could have an end to Doomsday where it's like the end of Infinity War. Boom, Thanos wins. He did it. Or you could do something like Star Wars, where it's like maybe Doom was trying to do something even bigger and worse, and the good guys were able to stop that even worse fate, but the repercussions of them stopping Doom lead into the events of Secret Wars. I'm just saying they could come up with something about that. So does Doom win definitively? Do the good guys kind of win, but it still leads into the events of Secret Wars? I'm not really sure. All I'm pretty confident at is that Doom doesn't die at the end of Doomsday. That's the only thing I'm really confident about. All right. Let's see here. Rendell Sanchez writes, thoughts on Mickey 17 2 trailer release 5 days ago. The stuff they showed us a few days ago was a lot of it they already showed us at CinemaCon last year, back in April. They gave us a big, long presentation on Mickey 17 at CinemaCon, and it was great. There was a few things in the second trailer that I hadn't seen before, but a lot of it I had already seen. I think this movie looks great, man. And it's Robert Pattinson, and the concept is so good. I don't know if it's based on previous source material. Something tells me it is. Anyway, I'm not familiar with the previous source material, if it is based on previous source material. But either way, man, I think this movie looks great. I cannot wait to watch it. All right. Next up, we've got Christopher Brickner, who writes, it's hilarious how after the Patriots dynasty ended, NFL fans thought they were free, only for the Chiefs dynasty to immediately replace the Patriots. The Chiefs ain't winning the Super Bowl. I will tell you, I said this on the show before, but after watching the Eagles play the last couple of months, and everybody knows I was rooting for the Bills, but before the game started between the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, I turned to my buddy Ryan and I said, as excited as I am for this game, it almost doesn't matter, because the Eagles, the way they match up against both the Chiefs and the way they match up against the Bills, the Eagles are going to completely smash either the Bills or the Chiefs. It doesn't matter. It does not matter which one of these two teams win. The Eagles are going to completely smash them. Not because they're necessarily that much of the better team. It's stylistic. It's the matchup. The Eagles are going to completely destroy the Chiefs. And it's not going to be a close game. It's not going to be a close game. I'm not saying they're going to win by 30, but it's not going to be, it's going to come down to the last drive. No, I think the Chiefs are absolutely going to dominate. The Chiefs are going to absolutely dominate them. Absolutely dominate them. Or the Eagles are going to dominate the Chiefs, I mean. All right. Let's see. Next up, SC writes, so is MCU just going to ignore Gia, one of, if not the most powerful being in the universe? Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to bring her up again. It was such a stupid thing to do. Let's create this character who gets everybody's powers. Why does she get all their powers? Oh, because they put the DNA into a needle and they give it the gas, and now she has all the powers. It was one of the stupidest things. Kevin Feige has had some stumbles with the MCU over the past 15 plus years. Yeah, there have been some stumbles. But there has never been anything as straight up idiotic and stupid as that whole Gia thing. Gia, however you want to pronounce her name. It is one of the most idiotic things they had ever done. Well, John, you don't understand. You see, in the comic books, we have... It doesn't matter. Certain things can play out certain ways in the comic books. That doesn't mean they play out well on the screen. And that did not play out well on the screen. And it does not fit into the MCU. It was one of the most idiotic things they'd ever done. And I don't think we're ever going to see her again. I really don't. That show was so bad. That show was so bad that it completely derailed the Armor Wars movie that they had been developing and building. They were originally going to do it as a show. Then they changed gears. No, we're going to make this into a feature film. And they were moving on Armor Wars. And that show was so bad that it screeched the brakes on that movie. I don't think they're ever going to go back to that. I think they're just going to pretend like that never happened, or that, hey, she just goes off to live a quiet life somewhere or anything like that. But yeah, I don't think they're ever, like, I'm not guaranteeing you they won't, because who knows, maybe they do. But my guess is, and it's just a guess, Just a random idiotic film fan making a guess. But I'm just guessing that I don't think we're ever going to see her again. I really, really don't. They need to just ignore her. All right. Jesse Keith writes, I just saw Companion. It was really good. I can't remember what Companion is off the top of my head. Let me just check quick. What movie is Companion? Companion. Oh, okay. No, I know the movie. I did not see this. But I've heard decent things about this. From the studio that brought you The Notebook. It's got the dude from The Boys, Quaid. What's his first name? He's Dennis Quaid's kid. Anyway, I still haven't seen it. I am actually more interested in that movie he's got coming up called Novocaine. Damn it, what's the dude's name again? Jack Quaid. And Sophie Thatcher's in it. I've heard good things about Rupert Friend's in it too. I've heard good things about it, but I have totally forgotten about this movie, Companion. And I've heard it's really good. I have been kind of more focused on Jack Quaid's other movie, Novocaine, which, by the way, also has Amber Midthunder in it, the star of Prey, the Predator movie, Prey. So they're both in that. I'm really excited about that movie. I can't wait to see it. So we'll see. But I'm glad you liked it, man. I hear good things about it, but I keep forgetting about that movie, like, completely. Let's see. Jason says, it's a Screen Unseen, not out yet. So it was one of the, I've given up on Screen Unseen. I hope they start doing some good things so I can get back into them. Benji Gator 23 writes, John, I often get overwhelmed and fall way behind on things to watch. It's easy, especially in today's streaming world. How do you prioritize what to watch and stay up to date when time is short? See, here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. And I've talked about this before. After AMC and Complex and stuff like that, I mean, there was a time when I felt like I needed to watch everything. And I gave myself permission that I don't have to watch everything. I just don't have to watch everything. And so how do I prioritize things? It's easy. Is there something that is there something coming out that looks like it interests me? And I mean, there are going to be a lot of people who do the types of things I do that feel it's their responsibility to watch everything. And hey, I respect that. I do. I respect that. But it's not going to be me. There's just too much stuff to watch. And you know what? Life is too short to watch things that I don't like or that I'm not interested in. Now, there are things that I don't think look very good, but because of a lot of other factors, I may still be interested in it and I want to give it a shot, like Harley Quinn, right? There's a good example. Something like Harley Quinn or Peacemaker, right? I didn't think Harley Quinn looked good. I didn't think Peacemaker looked good, but there was a number of other factors that had me at least interested in them, so I go watch it. But when there's stuff that's coming out that I have no interest in, I just give myself permission not to watch it. There's just too much stuff that I am interested in that I want to see. And so, you know, that inevitably means that there are some shows I don't talk about, or there are some movies that come out that I don't talk about. And then inevitably there are some fans of those movies or those shows going, John, why aren't you talking about this? Same reason I don't talk about a lot of stuff. Didn't interest me, so I didn't watch it. But I do try to get caught up on things. As a matter of fact, you know what I did part of this evening over dinner? You know what I did? I sat down because I watched the first episode in it because I thought the trailer was good. You know that new show, Matlock? I sat down. I watched the first episode, the premiere episode, like a month or two ago. I can't remember how long ago it came out. I thought, you know what? This is really good. It was really good. And now Kathy Bates just got nominated for Best Actress in a series. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch another one. I watched 2 or 3 episodes tonight. You know what? I don't care what he says because it's a CBS show and it's like based on an old Matlock show and whatever. You know what? The show is really good and I'm glad. And now I got to get caught up on that. And then I really want to get caught up on Dexter. What's the new Dexter series called? First Kill, First Blood, Tickle Nipple. I can't remember what it's called. What's the new Dexter called? It's the prequel series. Anybody in the live chat remember? Original Sin. Thank you, Haunted Autumn. Original Sin. I want to get caught up on that. I still have not started watching Lioness. I really want to watch Lioness. Everybody's telling me Lioness is really good. And now I want them to make a show called Tickle Pickle or Nipple Tickle, is whatever it is I said. So yeah, I still got a number of things I got to get caught up on, man, on TV. I'm staying up to date on Severance and a few other things, but yeah, those are things I want to get caught up on. All right. I think we only have a couple of questions because I turned off the super chats a while ago, but I think we have a couple of questions left. Let me see how many. Oh, we have more than just a couple. Oh no, it's just a few more. Okay. Next up, we got Dildar the Glorious, who writes, in the beginning, people were happy Gunn was taking over, but they turned on him as he announced he was rebooting everything. No, everybody understood he was going to be rebooting things. And nobody, not everybody turned on him. A very small but mouthy group of people turned. But listen, we had been saying for years, before James Gunn took over, they had to reboot, man. The DCEU had been run into the ground. It died. It was dead. Bury it. It was dead. The last 4 movies they put out, none of them made over like $300 million. Like when you look at the last batch of movies, like Flash, Blue Beetle, something like Black Adam, which didn't even make $400 million. I mean, it had been run into the ground. It was dead. It was gone. They had to reboot. 100% they had to reboot. And it was the films before those films came out that ran it into the ground. The audience had abandoned the DCEU. That is non-debatable. You just can't debate that the average movie-going audience had given up on the DCEU. They just weren't interested in the DCEU stuff anymore. They had to reboot, 100%. Whether it was James Gunn or somebody else, they had to reboot. So, yeah, when you say everybody, no. It was only, everybody understood it was the right move to reboot. So most people, sane people, were very happy they were rebooting. But hey, there are also people who are big fans of what the DCU is doing, despite what may have been happening with it financially. And of course, sure, you're kind of hoping it can make a resurgence. I get that. But it wasn't making a resurgence. It wasn't coming back. And so, yeah, they needed to pull the plug. And again, whether or not it was James Gunn, if it was going to be somebody else, they still would have rebooted. It was getting rebooted no matter what. All right. Mad Sinister McCall writes, worst Best Picture winner, Crash or Nomadland? Neither. Nomadland is fucking awesome. That, to me, that movie is such a brilliant character study of a large demographic of people in America and their mindset and just and observations about life. I thought Nomadland was brilliant. I love that movie. All film is subjective. You don't have to agree with me. That doesn't mean you're wrong. I'm just saying, for me, I thought Nomadland was, it was a fucking awesome movie. I love that. And you know what? I really like Crash. Do I think Crash, though, deserves to be a Best Picture winner? See, that's the hard thing, right? I don't necessarily think it should have been a Best Picture winner, but I really like the movie. Like, I think it's a very good movie. It's weird and it's complex and it's kind of got a twisted way of doing things and all that kind of stuff. Regardless, I like that movie, just maybe not as a Best Picture winner. So what would I say is like the worst Best Picture winner? I don't know. Ask me after this year's Oscars if Emilia Perez wins. Ask me if Emilia Perez wins. Because if Emilia Perez wins, I will personally proclaim, for my own personal opinion, that will be the worst Best Picture winner ever. So yeah, that'll be my thing. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? We are at Christopher Brickner, who writes, after 5 straight one and done appearances, a popular sports YouTuber / Steelers fan is right. Steelers are now the jobbers of the AFC. Only exist as a warm-up for better teams in the playoffs first round. I'm going to be honest with you. There are a lot of fans of a lot of different teams who would smack you in the mouth if you said that. There are a lot of teams who would kill to be in the Steelers' position, who haven't made it to the playoffs in for frickin' ever. You know what that is? That's a spoiled fan. That's a spoiled fan. You're so used to general success. You're just so used to general success now that you become bored with it. Meanwhile, teams like the JETS, Jets, and a lot of other teams would kill just for a taste of the playoffs. Look, am I saying as a football fan you should just be happy just by going to the dance? No, of course you want to win a Super Bowl. But guess what? The freaking Steelers have won a bunch of Super Bowls. They've won a bunch of Super Bowls. But every year they keep winning. They win and they win and they win. And then at some point, they're not the best team in the league, so they get knocked out of the playoffs. But they consistently give their fans winning football. And so I'm just saying, I'm not a Jets fan. I'm not a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. I'm not like any of that. I'm just saying, man, you're a Steelers fan. If I was like a Jets fan and I saw you crying, oh, my Steelers, I'd want to smack you in the mouth saying, you don't know how good you've got it, son. Anyway, but yeah, could they be better? Of course. But you guys, Steeler fans are so fucking spoiled, man. Year after year after year, winning football. Are they winning titles? No. But ask some of these other teams, would you like to have even just a little taste of even one season of winning football? There'd be a lot of teams that would love to take your place, man. That Steeler fans are spoiled fans. My wife's in Pittsburgh right now. They are spoiled fans. All right. Let's see. Next one up. Stephen Grant writes, "Hey, John, I remember you talking about a projector that you have in your transformed studio. What exactly was it again, and what size screen do you have? Thanks." Okay, so the screen I have that is still in here, because we converted my theater room into our studio again, but we still have the screen on the wall. The screen we have is 150 inch. And man, I can't remember the name of the projector. I can't remember the name. I think it started with a D. Do any of you guys remember? Because I used to talk about this projector. It's like a $3,000 projector. I got it for free. They sent it to me as a review unit, and they just said I could keep it. And it was one of those short throw laser projectors. So if your wall is here, you literally put the projector right up here, only like a few inches from the wall. It wasn't an Epson. It started with a D, I think. And it puts the laser signal out this way, and then you modulate and everything. And it was freaking gorgeous. I can't remember the name of the brand though. But it was great, man. I loved it. And you know, when I'm all said and done doing this stuff, and it's time for me to shut down the studio in here, the reason we kept that screen on the wall, and you see it behind like Jonathan. When the camera's on Jonathan, you could see the screen behind it. We did not take that screen off the wall because we know at some point we will be bringing that digital projector back in here and bringing the Sonos system back in here. And definitely going to be making this back into the theater room again. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the damn projector though. Sorry about that. All right, it wasn't Daywood. Good guess though, Bobby Jackson. That's a great guess because that does start with D, but it wasn't one of theirs. All right, and it wasn't Dell, and it wasn't Daylight. All right, next up, Jerome writes, "Do you think they'll have Zemo in Black Panther 3? Honestly, no. I would like them to, though. I didn't think Zemo was that great of a character in Civil War, to be honest with you. I thought he was a great character in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I would like to see him come back. Thank you. Dildar the Glorious is right. It wasn't D. It wasn't a D. I was wrong. It was Hisense. Hisense is the name of the projector I had. It was a Hisense. short throw laser projector thing. It's absolutely amazing. I'm sure it's probably cheaper now today than it was when I got it. But anyway, so I myself, Jerome, would really like to see him come back, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to move on to other things, so I don't think we're going to see him back. All right. And last question of the day comes to us from Isaac Martinez, who writes, have you heard of the Led Zeppelin documentary coming out in February? I have not. Bought my IMAX tickets because I'm a fan of this iconic band. I mean, listen, they are, whether you like or don't like the music of Led Zeppelin, you're an idiot if you don't acknowledge they are one of the most influential rock bands in history, right? And they got some of the most iconic music in history. But I didn't even know they were doing a documentary. I had no idea about that, Isaac. I really didn't. Thank you for putting that on my radar. All right, guys. And that'll do it for tonight's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Hey, by the way, guys, don't forget, tomorrow, me, Jonathan, Chris Carr, Robert Meyer Burnett, all back in here again, talking about movies and stuff. Come and hang out with us for the John Campea Show. We hope you will come and spend a little part of your day with us. But that will do it for us for now. I'm going to go take my dog for a walk, sit down, probably watch another episode of Matlock, if there is still another one that I got to get through. Have myself a Zevia, and then yeah, maybe go to bed. I only got 3 hours of sleep last night, so I might go to bed a little bit early. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you guys in the morning. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.